Most people think being smart is about knowing more facts, reading more books, or remembering which historical event happened when, but that kind of knowledge rarely changes your life. The only intelligence that matters is the ability to think ahead, spot opportunities, and create your own path to success. It's about knowing how to get everything you want in life. So in the next 7 minutes, I'll share 4 principles that will make you dangerously smart in exactly the ways you need. Let's get into it. Principle 1. Turn overthinking into insight. If you constantly replay situations in your head, imagine everything that could go wrong, and get stuck in your own head, then let me tell you something. Overthinking is actually a sign that your mind is highly active, deeply aware, and incredibly capable. You think in layers and you pick up on details that others miss. The only problem is that your brain doesn't know where to put all that energy, so it starts working against you. So the first step to becoming insanely smart is to stop letting overthinking control you, and instead, start using it as an advantage. Right now, when you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts, your first instinct might be to distract yourself by putting on music, scrolling through your phone, or calling someone. But that habit will actually do more harm than good because it teaches your brain to avoid thinking instead of handling it. You're not solving anything, you're just pushing it down, and the longer you avoid your thoughts, the louder and more chaotic they get. So next time you start overthinking, don't fight it and don't distract yourself. Just sit with your thoughts and let them unfold. When you do that, there will usually be 2 outcomes. Either you'll realize the things you were so worried about aren't even that important, and you just don't care anymore. Or you'll get clarity and come up with real solutions and very good ideas. Either way, you win. Learning to sit with your thoughts trains your mind to think clearly and independently. So stop treating overthinking like a curse. It's a gift that only feels heavy until you learn how to use it. Principle 2. Argue with yourself. If you want to be sharp, like really sharp, you need to push your thinking before anyone else does. Let me explain. The second someone senses confidence in a woman, they'll try to find a way to cut it down. And one of the easiest ways they do it is by making you question your intelligence. They'll talk over you, correct you on things that don't matter, or ask passive-aggressive questions to make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. So, you need to get ahead of it. Before anyone else has the chance to question you, you need to question yourself, deliberately and honestly. Take your thoughts, opinions, decisions, and pressure test them. For example, let's say you want to start your own business. Now imagine someone who believes a 9-to-5 job is the smarter choice. Your goal isn't to win the argument, it's to fully and honestly argue both sides in your own mind. You might argue that a 9-to-5 offers steady income, structure, and less personal risk. Then you switch and defend your original side just as strongly. You could argue that running a business gives you freedom, ownership, and greater long-term potential. The goal is to train your mind to think clearly from both sides. And if starting a business still stands after everything you've considered, then that's your sign to go for it. And when someone tries to shut you down by saying it's too risky, unrealistic, or stupid, you can calmly say, "I've thought about all of that. I just don't agree. For me, this path makes more sense." Arguing against your own position is also the same technique high-level debaters use. They don't just prepare to defend their side, they build and study the opposing side as if they had to argue it themselves. They look for the strongest points the other side could make, then refine their own position until it can stand up to that level of pressure. That's why debaters can respond so quickly with strong, well-reasoned arguments, because nothing the other side says is new to them. They've already thought through it and prepared for it. So, don't wait for someone else to poke holes in your thinking. Do it yourself first. By the time you speak, act, or commit to something, you've already worked through every objection in your own mind, and no one can shake you or catch you off guard. You'll already be 10 steps ahead, confident in your decisions, and fully aware of the arguments they're about to use against you. Principle 3. Master critical thinking. Critical thinking is probably one of the most useful skills you can have. It's what smart people use in leadership, business, and literally any situation where making the wrong move could cost you something. So let's actually learn what it is and how to use it. At its core, critical thinking is simple. Something happens, you pause, assess the situation, and make a smart decision based on logic. Now compare that to how most people go through life, which is emotional thinking. Something happens, you feel something immediately, and you act based on that feeling instead of thinking it through. One is reaction, the other is strategy, and strategy always wins in the long run. But instead of just talking about it, let's make it fun and easier to understand by looking at an iconic character who constantly uses strategy to navigate chaos and win, Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl. Blair is definitely not the nicest character. She's manipulative, dramatic, and sometimes ruthless. but she's also ambitious, sharp, and almost always 5 steps ahead of everyone else.
See, that's where you and I are different. I would never put my fate in someone else's hands, and that's why I always win. And you lose.
What makes Blair powerful isn't her charm or confidence. It's her ability to step back, analyze the situation, and think strategically. But even Blair isn't immune to emotional thinking. There are moments when her insecurities get the best of her, and instead of pausing to think, she reacts immediately. She embarrasses herself, ruins alliances, and almost every time, she ends up cleaning up a mess she created herself. So while Blair is an amazing example of what critical thinking looks like, she's also a perfect reminder of what happens when you don't use it. Which brings us to the most important part. Let's talk about how you can improve your own critical thinking and avoid the emotional traps that even Blair Waldorf falls into. You're actually already halfway there. You've already learned 2 essential parts of critical thinking: sitting with your own thoughts and being able to argue with yourself. But there's one more piece that completes it, and it's the exact part Blair often fails at: emotional control. You can't think clearly if you're in fight or flight mode. You can't analyze a situation if you're too busy reacting to how it made you feel. So here's how to stay sharp when your emotions try to take over. First, name the emotion. Literally say to yourself, "I feel angry," or "I feel anxious." This immediately moves the feeling out of the reaction center in your brain and into the thinking part. Then ask yourself one question. What's the smart move here? That one question is enough to pull you out of emotion and into clarity. And every time, remind yourself that letting emotion take over can ruin everything. Just think of Blair. When she's calm and thinking clearly, she's nearly unstoppable. But the moment she reacts out of pride or insecurity, everything she built starts to fall apart. The more you practice this, the faster your brain learns to stay calm under pressure. Principle 4. Let them underestimate you. You don't need to be seen as the smartest person in the room. In fact, it's better if you're not. Just let them underestimate you. People are more honest when they don't see you as a threat. They'll reveal things they normally hide because they assume you're not paying attention. Also, be careful who you share your knowledge and plans with, because you might be educating an enemy. Not everyone who asks questions is curious. Some are just collecting information to use against you. So protect your mind. Stop trying to be understood. Focus on understanding. Listen more. Say less. Think clearly. And let your results speak for themselves. The smartest people in the room aren't the ones talking the most. They watch, they listen, and they keep more to themselves than they give away. This was the Desire Diaries. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for my future videos, let me know in the comments. Until then, stay confident, smart, and glowing.